It's all in style.
Nah, it's perfect. I love it.
It is. Yeah. I love it.
MacGyver is how things get done,
Yeah.
right?
And at the final moment, I couldn't get it to stick on the little light fixture, the Japanese light fixture. I had the ring on, like the
Right.
lighting ring with the attachments for the phone, and it worked. I used this little hair clip from Yvonne,
That's it.
but it didn't work because when I put the phone in, it was too heavy. So Yvonne grabbed the tie rib and put it like that. So we're fine.
Our women once
We're
again save our
Yeah,
asses.
they always save our asses. Pretty
Uh,
funny.
so for those of you tuning in, welcome. Thanks for joining. This particular episode is going to air right before the US election, and many people are calling this one of the most important elections of a generation. And I couldn't disagree more. There's so much at stake. And
Oh
Tone
yeah,
and I have been pretty careful about how we talk about politics or religion, but we're going to have a conversation and letting you all know that we may say some things you may not agree with, and that's okay because you're entitled to disagree with us,
yeah,
just like we're entitled to disagree with each other from time to time, and certainly with
yeah.
you if your values and your ideology doesn't align with ours. We all have people in our life like that, and I don't think there's anything wrong
Mm,
with it. You just have
no,
to make sure
yeah.
your
Well, the biggest,
disagreements
yeah,
can
yeah,
be
yeah,
talked
yeah,
through.
yeah.
So,
As in addition to that, it's always very hard to not to polarize in your stance and your opinions. It's always a delicate balance between being honest and straightforward,
right.
as opposed to being offensive and insulting. That's always a big thing. And it also has two sides, as far as I'm concerned, because sometimes people feel insulted, and it's n not exactly justified to feel like that. It's sometimes it's very important to sometimes say something, and then you might be feel insulted or something like that. But sometimes that happens in a civilized
It
society.
there is
It's
nothing there's nothing wrong with being insulted or
no,
offended because frequently it galvanizes you to action. And I'll
yeah,
normally we talk about everything and it
yeah.
doesn't really require me to do any research on the outside. And you're one of the most learned individuals I know, and I love talking about the
Thank you.
fact that Tone, the other man on this show, is more
Yeah.
knowledgeable than American politics than most Americans I know, and it's a hell of a thing to be aware of. And he's always asking me questions, and we're always having these wonderful discussions. And
Yeah.
I checked some of the news feeds on the way to the studio this morning, and the first thing that caught my attention was some guy at an auction who purchased a Taylor Swift guitar so he could destroy it. He took a hammer and destroyed this $4,000 guitar he'd paid so he could protest her politics. And the person who made the public statement about it said, well, he was making a lighthearted showing of his disagreement about people in entertainment trying to influence politics. And I
Mm.
thought, well, that's pretty fascinating because the guy who was number 47 was a B grade TV star, TV reality show personality. That's it. That
Who
he
did
he
this? Right.
so we're the guy I'm talking about, some guy bought a guitar, smashed it with a hammer because he was protesting the fact that Taylor Swift supports Kamala Harris. And his statement was something along the lines of, uh, you know, entertainers have no right going into politics or trying to influence politics. And my point is, hey, guess what? Donald J. Trump was a B grade TV reality personality. The
Yeah.
guy, the guy had The
Yeah.
Apprentice. The guy
Oh yeah.
did not have a long history in politics,
No.
did not have not even at a local level. So
No.
if you want to talk about that, that's where you start.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this a great deal off camera.
Uh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
the reality is both candidates have challenges. Both candidates have things that have us concerned. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, for me, I see things like Project 47. I see things like Project 25. I don't care. I don't care how you spin it. I don't care how you present it. If you take a turd and you polish it, it is still a turd.
Right. Right. Yeah. I say stuff like that as well. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. Like, and yeah. Well, and also I was thinking about it that when you told me this story about Taylor Swift, the guy who, well, two things. Obviously, if you're a celebrity like Taylor Swift, then you kind of maybe it's not intentional, or maybe it is, but if you speak your mind as a celebrity, which of course you're entitled to, you have the complete. He's goofing out behind me, right? Yeah,
Says
of course.
Luke.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're a celebrity and you want to speak your mind, of course you're allowed to. It's a free, we have freedom of speech. Thankfully, we do. So on the other hand, you should realize if you have are very influential and you speak your mind, people will stop thinking for themselves. It's a responsibility that you have. Because if you're a Taylor Swiftie fan, you go like and you go like, oh yeah, well, she votes for Kamala Harris. That will stop you thinking about other possibilities, and that's a really bad thing as well. See? And
I
on top
I
of that, the second thing,
I
no,
see
let
your
hear me
point.
out. The thing is also the guy who bought the fucking guitar and he smashed it to pieces. What's what's the use in that? It's it's ridiculous. You're not making any points or anything. You're just smashing a guitar. And why did you do it in the first place?
Some people have more money than brains.
Ah, really? Yeah. So, and and also the other thing that really annoys me, maybe this is the annoying episode a little bit. We keep it light, of course, but also the whole stance of Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid. They are from Arab ascent. Yeah, they are from the era that's now Israel. What do you think that will happen if they walk in their catwalk outfits in the middle of the Gaza Strip? First, they would get raped, and then they would be killed. So, where are your priorities? And what are you saying to the people? That it's okay to be anti-Semitic? Or what is
We
your point? I have no
we
idea.
exchanged we talked Tone and I talked briefly about the recent um the recent hit on I think the leader of Hezbollah, right?
Right.
And, and the footage coming out of the area was of everybody celebrating, Israelis and Arabs side by
Arabs, yeah.
side celebrating. And then here in the States, again, you have people in New York and you have some protests popping up again on college campuses. And my point is many of the people protesting don't know what the hell they're protesting for. They don't know
I have
why
no
they're
idea.
showing up. They're again, this goes exactly to what you said about, a
Yeah,
celebrity who has the influence and ability can say a thing and people say, okay. These people haven't done the research to say, well,
exactly. Yeah,
it
well, and
makes no
also
sense.
also the kids who are in school right now in the universities all across the globe. It's not only in the States. It's going on everywhere in Germany and the Netherlands and Belgium and everywhere. All these, but the thing is that these kids don't know anything, but they have their hearts in the right places. I I do
Yes.
believe that.
Yes. You,
They think
you,
they are
I
doing the
agree.
right thing,
Right.
but they
Right.
have
You
no
have
idea what's going on.
they're learning about civil
Uh,
disobedience. They're learning about
yeah,
why it's important to be mindful civically. But
mm,
again, they have no idea
right,
why. They have no idea what. And they're doing it because someone said, "Hey, come on, let's do this. They're going to serve pizza."
right.
Or, "Come on, let's do this. There's going to be hot dogs."
Yeah.
Or, "Come on, let's do this because news media is going to be there." And
There's also a glaring contradiction in the whole story because they're accusing Israel of genocide, but they're calling for a genocide if they're saying free Palestine from the river to the sea. Where are the Jews going to go? Where's
right,
Israel go?
right. And we
Well,
have
they say,
talked,
well, they have to go because go to where they came from. Uh, where do you
yep,
think they came from?
yeah. Well, and
It's
we
amazing.
we have talked about this before. We've talked about
Yeah,
the two-state solution. We've talked about how the UN had created was essentially a fairly evenly divided proposition, and it was shot down.
yeah,
It's never been an issue. The area, this is me personally, I think in large part the area is contested and people are fighting over it just because they can. And excuse me,
right.
I think it's the same reason we see people on college campuses protesting and we see people in the streets protesting because, and again, here we are going down that rabbit hole. Man, I don't know where these people were on October 7th of last year when the Hamas raids on the Israeli citizens took place.
Yeah,
Everybody was pretty damn quiet. Now you want to get out there and saber rattle? All right, the reality is the moment you pick up a saber and charge into battle, it reminds me of, there was a period of time, probably about 20 years ago, there was a huge increase in people signing up to join the military because they knew about
right.
the GI Bill, they knew about, college benefits, first-time ownership benefits, all of these things
Mm.
that they're like, oh, wait, I can join the military, serve for 4 years, and then I can have access to all this money. And
Yeah,
when they joined,
yeah,
they were deployed to conflicts in other parts of the world. And these people were saying, "No,
right.
wait a minute, I don't want to go. I didn't sign up for that." Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. But yeah, I know it's kind of silly, It's going like you go to work in a bar and well you have to pour drinks. Really?
That's
That's kind of
right.
strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I have a friend who bought a really, really expensive coffee machine. It's one of these really nice machines that does everything. It does it quietly. It makes the most
Mm.
incredible cups of coffee. I mean, it's a very complex version of, like, I love the Senseo because I love how simple it is and what it does and how it makes a perfect cup of coffee every time. This
Yeah.
machine does even better. And he purchased it for, it was practically brand new. It had been used once. And he
Huh?
purchased it practically brand new for only 20% of what it would have sold for in the store because the girl he bought it from said, "Well, I'm selling it because I didn't know you had to clean it."
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding you, man.
No,
Because I guess
no maintenance.
the
Okay.
coffee grounds magically remove themselves, I guess.
Are you shitting me, really? Well, I think you could buy a thing like that, that just automatically goes into the sewage system and grinds it away. I don't know. You probably can buy it, but it's a little
No,
bit
yeah,
more, I guess.
all you have to do with this machine, it's got a little hopper which you take out that holds the coffee
I know.
grounds. You rinse that out. You run one cup through of water to clean everything else out, and then it's ready to go.
Oh, right. It's one of those little thingies you click into the machine and you take you twist it and then it'll go.
Oh, it's better
I
than that. It's better than an
Oh,
espresso.
really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
oh, just as a side note, Philips has a new system as well. Instead of the Senseo, they launched it.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a hybrid system. It's also with a little cup. You put the coffee in there and it grinds coffee. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The simplified version, but you still have to clean it though.
Yep. Yeah. Which,
Yeah. Oh well.
but none of that ever makes any sense when, you know, people get this mindset of laziness. I'm not exactly sure. They're like, oh, it was misrepresented. No, it wasn't. It's a coffee machine. You're going to have to clean it. Even if you use a
Yeah.
Senseo with pods, you still have to run water through it from time to time. Let me ask you
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
When it comes election time and this is relevant for me, obviously for two reasons. I was there in the days leading up to your last election, right?
Yeah.
And it was a very big deal. How do the Dutch get out the vote? How do they galvanize people to have conversations so that they can make informed and educated choices when they go to the voting station, the polling station to cast their vote?
Mm. Well, yeah, you have to, basically it's the same as in the States. You have to get your information elsewhere because the mainstream media always works in sound bites, as you know, and
Yep.
it's the same in the Netherlands. You know, you have these two opponents or a couple of course, we have a multiple party system, not a bipartisan system,
You're right.
as in the States. So what happens is that you have, well, of course, you have left-wing media, you have central opinion media, if that's a word. You have the right wing, of course, and what you see is that they invite politicians from all parties, but not all of them at the same time.
Right.
You see the right wing politicians or the
So
extremist
you have a
right
lot,
or
you have
left,
a
and they
lot
go
of
to
this. You have a lot of this.
yeah,
It's almost a medieval waltz where you're constantly dancing with different partners.
right. And you know the problem in the Netherlands is that it's a good thing that you have a multiple party system. How would you say that in English? Help
That's it.
me.
Is that that's
That's
proceeds
exactly okay.
multiple party system.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, basically. On the other hand, there are too many of them right now because you have all these little differences that will, you know, unavoidably will happen in time. That there's are some people within a certain party, left or right or whatever. It doesn't really matter, but they have a few differences with the main policy uh, so
Yep.
they start dividing themselves from the party, and they adjust the party program just a little bit, so you have a new party. Or people step out of the party, and they can and the seat is a personal election because then
Right.
they are still allowed to remain in parliament. So I have this little splinter party and then it goes on and on and on and on. So now we have a lot of parties. On the other hand, if they don't get enough votes, they will drop out of the system as well. So that's a good thing. See? So because we had a couple of parties here that they're not returning because they didn't get enough votes or they didn't make it happen what they promised or anything else or they fucked
Sure.
up or whatever they did. So that. And so the question was whether our system was different or
Well, no,
better.
do your do I think I know the answer to this, but I'd like you to explain it to the viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
The average Dutch voter, do they make it a
Oh,
point
that the
to
information,
do they
right?
do they make it a point to consume the information and enter the polling station educated when they cast their vote?
Well, that is a really good question. I don't really know because I never dove into that, but I'm going to because I think it's an interesting question. Because you people like me, there must be more people out there that are willing to invest the time to investigate everything. And I'm sure not everybody does that.
Right.
But I'm wondering how many people are well informed or try to be. I don't know. I'm gonna check that out.
I think it's important because
Yeah,
you have to be willing,
yeah,
as distasteful as it is, you have to
yeah.
be willing to listen to all sides, and including
Right,
those arguments you not may not agree with. And when you listen, it it better educates you to understand where they're
right.
coming from. And sometimes it's blind faith, sometimes it's because this candidate has made it permissible to be mean, to pick on people, to be racist or anti-Semitic. This candidate
Yeah,
has made it okay for us to put our phobias and fears out in the open and then smash them. History is filled with personalities like that. And
yeah.
I know that the rest of the world is paying attention to what's happening here in the US right now, and politics politics and religion are always dividing, and they have been for as long as the first group of humans convened in a place to either worship their version of God or discuss
Oh
their
yeah,
version of politics. But
yeah.
I think it's always dangerous if you
Right.
choose to just hear one side and exclude everything else. If you hear what the other side is saying or what the other sides are saying, it makes it easier for you to refute through argument what they're saying, how they're defending, what they believe. And the arguments, I've heard some real interesting discussions that border
Mm,
between conspiracy theory and outright lunacy as to
right, right.
why people support a particular candidate. But the reality is so much is on the table in the United States with this particular election cycle coming up.
Yeah. Oh,
Women's rights,
yeah,
education, everything in the world that is an
yeah,
important part of what makes the United States a democratic republic is on the line. And that's why people need to get educated about it and vote. Like for me personally, I don't understand why Jews, women, blacks, or any person of color would vote for Trump. I don't. I just don't. This man has
right.
made it clear he doesn't like you. He doesn't care about you. There's
Yeah,
sound there's
yeah,
sound bites of him saying these things.
right. I know. It's a very difficult situation that America and the world is in, for that matter.
Yep.
Because we talked about this before, because Trump is openly pro-Israel,
Yeah.
and he uses it as an election strategy because he's hoping for all the Jewish votes in America.
Right.
But I have serious doubts whether he is sincere about this whole thing.
I don't think
Um,
he is, and that's why
and
if you
um,
pay attention, just real quick, if you pay
yeah.
attention to what Trump is doing, I call him mini Trump, the governor of Florida, DeSantis.
Oh,
Exactly.
right,
He
Rick. Oh,
he's with Hurricane Helene that just came through the
mm,
state and then marched its way up up the
yeah.
states, hit six or seven states, absolute devastation. DeSantis made an announcement. It's like, hey, Biden, we don't have a need to talk to you. We don't need federal aid. Go help North Carolina. And DeSantis has always been an individual who said, yeah, we don't want federal aid. Florida is a decidedly red state, and DeSantis
Mm,
behaves
mm,
more
mm.
like a dictator than an actual politician looking to bring everybody to the center. But you're right. It is a difficult situation because
It is, yeah.
there are some things that people aren't sure what Harris stands for. But
Right,
again, at the end of
right.
the day, at the end of the
Uh,
day, you have to decide 4 years with Trump and Vance, I think is going to put us closer to what Mussolini had in mind or what Hitler had in mind. And people think it's not possible, but they forget this guy wanted to weaponize the military during the last election cycle when he lost.
you see, I'm telling you, he's a freaking lunatic. If you say in public that your opponent has a mental disorder, she's born with it, I don't know. Then you lost all decency. That's
Yeah.
that's that's crazy. If you say it's it's not helpful if you say that refugees are in America and eating the dogs and the cats. What are you thinking? It's
He doesn't
ridiculous.
he doesn't care
That is
and honestly, I think one thing that's good that's coming out of this is there are some individuals in the Republican Party who are
yeah,
starting to scratch their head and say, wait a minute,
right.
maybe
Is
this
this the
guy is
person that we
crazy.
want to be identified with? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I'm sure, I believe that most Republicans are decent people. I really do.
Yep.
I really do. It's not like they're all a bunch of idiots or anything. It's not like the Democrats have the moral high ground or anything like that. There
No.
are thugs in the Democrat side as well. So, yeah, but I, as far as I'm concerned, I would put my money on Kamala Harris because I'm hoping that her statements about Israel and the two-state solutions, which is completely irrelevant and impossible as far as I'm concerned, because how do you want to live together with an enemy on your doorstep? It's ridiculous. So I hope that this is a political statement and it's a
And
political stance because they don't want to piss off a lot of a big portion of the
well, and
electorate.
I think,
That's what I hope.
right now, she has her campaign team. She's
Mm,
probably already thinking about a transition team, and some of those people that are parts of the campaign team are going to be part of the
mm.
transition team. But this is a conversation, and I know you know this. I'm amazed how many people don't understand when they go
No
after
idea.
Biden or Trump, Harris, anyone like that. It's like, wait a minute. They Government is intentionally designed to hamstring and make a single decision very difficult to achieve. They need a cabinet. They need the politicking of their cabinet members to talk to members of Congress, to talk to
Mm,
members of the Senate.
yeah.
A president cannot do things by themselves. They need their
No.
cabinet. They need the
Yes, they
buy-in
do.
of the people. So when people say, "Oh, Biden," no, he didn't. He's got a cabinet. He's got the best and brightest that
Yeah.
is influencing his policy direction. And that's the thing above and beyond all else that I hope
Yeah.
for with
I
Harris,
know.
which I think personally that is the better choice, not just for the United States of America, but for the world.
Right.
And I made it
Yeah.
clear to people. I have people who absolutely hate everything that being a Democrat represents, and they love Trump. And they ask me, why do you hate Trump so much? My answer is simple.
Oh,
He does not respect the highest office in the land, and he's disrespectful to other
right.
world leaders. The fact that
Yes.
he loves
I
the
mean, he isn't.
president,
Yes. Sure. Yeah.
he loves the president of Hungary, he loves the
Yeah.
president of the Soviet Union, and the
Sorry.
president of North Korea. That should tell you everything you
It's
need to know
ridiculous.
about the ideology and the ability for this man to think in terms of what is right and what is good.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. It's ridiculous. I know. Well, on the other hand, our prime minister, he's also friends with the guy from Hungary.
Yeah,
And I don't think that's a necessarily good thing. On the other hand, I must say, the way we get run over by Muslim immigrants in Europe, I'm pretty worried about that as well. And he's the only one, or at least one of the few people in Europe who have a government position that are willing to say what's going on, what the problem is, and
Yes.
um, and I'd like to say that it's a little bit more nuanced. Well, the guy from Hungary is not nuanced, but the thing is that with Geert Wilders, our present prime minister,
Right.
he always is accused about being anti-Muslim, but he's not, and he never says it. He always says he's anti-Islam. He doesn't like the ideology, and he doesn't want it here because it's contradictory to our democratic and liberal system. Because in Islam, it's uh, it's a totalitarian
Yep.
system,
Yep.
and the guy who's in charge doesn't even exist. And we are all about elected officials
Right.
who run our country, hopefully in the best way they can, and we can vote them in or out. And that's the big difference. So it's a total contradiction, the religion of peace and our system. And America is not as bad as I used to think.
No, no,
It's a
but
nice country.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is also, this is also a part of the mission of Project 25 and even, Trump is catering to everyone on the religious right. He doesn't care. He's only thinking about the White House and maybe how he can make another $2 billion for his family businesses. But, the reality for me, the reality for many others is the founding fathers, regardless of what they thought about things like slavery
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
religion, were very intentional and very specific about the separation of church and state. That has to
yeah.
continue. That has to
It's
continue.
very,
And
very, very
I
important.
agree with you. The path to citizenship has to be clear. It has to be
Yeah,
attainable and available to anyone who wants it. And I've
yeah,
talked to people who became naturalized, who came from other countries, took took the test to become U.S. citizens, and I haven't
right.
heard one say to me, "No, they should just open the borders and let whoever wants to come in come in." They say the same thing. They should go through the same process I went through.
Yeah. It's interesting what you just said because uh, okay, a little while ago, I saw a little clip of an interview with a guy, a Muslim guy who lived in Canada, and they asked him, "What would you choose? Would you choose Sharia law over the Canadian law and order system?" He said, "Sharia, of course." What do you mean, of course? You live in Canada. Yeah, but they never told me that I couldn't I had to adhere to the values of Canada.
Right.
That's very disturbing to me. That is very
Yes.
disturbing to me. And it cannot be like you go like, oh yeah, Sharia law, yeah.
Yep.
You have to be we have to kill all the gays and stuff like that. What are you thinking? It's ridiculous. They let people roam the streets in our Western societies.
I agree. It's happening in the
It's really
U.S.
bad.
It's
Yeah, it's
happening
really
in the
bad.
US. You saw a few months ago, and it wasn't just a few months ago. I saw footage yesterday of
Mm.
neo-Nazi groups waving flags on overpasses on US highways.
Yeah, and also,
It shouldn't be acceptable. And
yeah,
when people want to talk about
right.
how they're protected by freedom of speech, like no, when you're galvanizing malicious intent,
Yeah,
inciting violence, that's off the table for you.
yeah.
The only
They
freedom
are
of speech
abusing.
The only
Yeah.
freedom of speech I'm willing to give you is the freedom of speech you have to mouth off to the biggest guy in the jail yard when you get sent to prison. Okay? You want freedom of speech, that's it.
Yeah.
Um,
Very well said. Yeah. And also, isn't it rich that these people in the Middle East are saying that the Israelis are Nazis? Really? How fucked up is this world? And also on college, in the college campuses, these
yeah.
students are saying that they're Nazis. What are you thinking?
Well,
Are you-
and unfortunately, they're less educated than they would have us believe.
Oh, it's so tragic that it's not even funny, but oh, it's ridiculous. Okay, anyway, yeah, yeah.
So,
Thanks.
We did
Oh
it.
yeah,
We cracked the ice. This is the political episode, and it is airing right before the election in the United States.
yeah,
Please get out to vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Certainly vote your ideology, vote your conscience, but also think about
right,
what your vote's going to do to impact your children, your family,
right.
your friends. Think about all of
Your
that.
fellow human
This
beings.
is
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
an important vote for many reasons. Every vote is
Right.
important, but this one's critical. And I also want to say, just real quick, man, hearts are going out to everybody who has suffered
Yeah.
as a result of Hurricane Helene. Um,
Oh yeah.
my mom lives in Western North Carolina, and I still haven't talked to her. I think she's okay, but I haven't had a conversation with her
Oh my
in a
God.
week,
Yeah.
and that's because of the storms and everything else. So just
Mm.
keep those folks in your thoughts, and if you can do anything to help, do it.
Yeah. I hope she's okay, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
And I still have one really big important thing to say. At least I think it's important.
Do
I'm
it.
sorry I have to say this. Guys, if you want to make an informed decision on whether who you have to vote for, you have to think about one human condition that we all suffer from, and it's called confirmational bias. So you
Yes.
have to be, it's really important that you dare to check your own beliefs and your convictions.
Yep.
Educate yourself and be open for all sides.
Yes. Yes. Be
And that is all
careful.
sides.
Be careful
It's very hard.
if you find yourself surrounded by people who are doing nothing but agreeing with you, you're in an echo
Exactly.
chamber. You don't stand a
Yeah.
chance of learning or growing at all. Tone, I
Yeah.
love that. What a great way to close us out on
It should
a
be a no-brainer.
I
It should be a
well,
no-brainer,
it should
but it
be.
isn't.
It should
Yeah.
be, but
Look, you should be always willing to be changed. You
yeah,
to change your mind.
yes.
If the facts uh, 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 tell you to change your mind, then you must do so. And
Be
it's the
open
hardest thing to do, I think.
be open to
Yeah.
learning, be open to
Yeah.
mentally
Yeah.
growing. I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's only one truth. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a subjective truth
truth. That's
or a
true. There's
personal
always a
truth. Yeah.
subjective
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Thank you, man. I always love having conversations with you. And folks, we really do appreciate
yeah.
you listening or watching and listening. And we appreciate you sharing with your friends. We appreciate you clicking
Right.
like and subscribe. And we appreciate you giving us your thoughts and feedback. And as
Yes.
well, maybe suggesting what you would like us to talk about next time.
Yeah. Always good. And I apologize for messing around with my apparatus because
Nope. It's all good. We
it's all
uh
over the place. But that's
we
okay.
are out of here, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Much love to
Yeah.
you all.
Yeah.
Get out
And a
and
lot of and a
vote.
lot of wisdom for tomorrow
That's
or
right.
whatever day it is. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh my
Later.
God. Later, my friends. It was great talking to you again. Doei.
Later. Doeg.
Later.